A good Thursday afternoon to you. Roger Hill of Weathering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster, VELCO Weather Outlook. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. Big picture, you can see the swirling of this area of low pressure, this storm system out to sea, with its vorticity lobe that's dropping in and rotating around that. And that's what's bringing us a little bit of wet snow and a little bit of rain on valley floors. Not a huge deal. No impacts for utilities are expected, but there could be some higher terrain areas up in the Northeast Kingdom Highlands that pick up perhaps as much as 3 inches of wet, slushy snow. And it may affect travel in some locations. Now, during the darker hours, that will come down more onto the valley floors. It'll be a little bit more problematic. It's starting out light and sporadic, but we are looking at a little bit of a pickup of moisture, a little bit more intense as it moves on in late today and early this evening, and then things begin to push on through. It's also picking up actually maritime air that is actually warmer, that's swinging around the northern periphery of this area of low pressure. So that'll be working in during the overnight period tonight and changing any wet snow shower to rain shower activity during the morning hours tomorrow. So I don't anticipate too much of a problem tomorrow morning. And so, taking a look at the European model, we can see this area of low pressure. It's 972 hectopascal. That's pretty intense, pretty deep. Hurricane force winds spinning up a lot of wave action as it even came off of the middle Atlantic coast there. Places like Cape Hatteras affected. That precipitation swings on in. It started this morning. Looks like the heaviest amount is going to be a slightly darker blues here. That's going to be wet snow in general, and pushes on through during the overnight period, and then changes to rain showers as it drags in some slightly actual maritime air coming in from off of Labrador. That pushes on out during the afternoon hours and into the early evening hours as it looks with a few leftover rain showers on Friday, and then that continues to push away, and there's no problem there. We get into better weather for basically Saturday. Saturday, kind of a weak area of higher pressure that builds in, and it'll last probably 3/4 of the day on Sunday before this little frontal boundary begins to push in, kind of being sheared, stronger jet stream across Canada where the main action is, and things kind of slow down, a little bit warmer. So that drags a kind of a weak frontal system through during the evening hours, late in the day on Sunday and basically Sunday evening. And then it moves on out. We get into better conditions on Monday and Tuesday, a little bit lowered confidence. We have this kind of flat ridge. These kind of situations have a tendency to develop precipitation kind of along this sort of northwesterly flow. It's colder to the north, warmer to the south, and there'll be some sort of a division here, the baroclinic zone dividing line, that could spin up some low pressure systems. So we'll have to watch, and here comes one right now. This is valid about early Tuesday morning. So looks like Monday and Tuesday will maintain dry weather. A little bit lowered confidence on this, a little bit more suspect. This kind of clipper system whips on through pretty quickly. And then we get into Wednesday, and it's the next one that has a little bit more interest in it, a little bit more of digging jet stream behind it. And the combination of this kind of becoming a little bit more of a log jam. Watch what ends up happening here. This is beyond the period, so we're talking early to mid next week. You can see that area of low pressure in the Gulf of Maine produces some snow. Okay, so let's take a look at the GFS ensemble first here very briefly. This is centered on Montpelier, Vermont. This is the total amount of quantitative precipitation, and you can see it's really not a big deal. We're talking basically 6/7/10 of an inch total. Now the blue line down there is the latest model run. That was the 06Z GFS ensemble mixed in with the Canadian data. So we have that kind of a slightly lower perspective that the system is really not going to do a lot. Again, this is centered on Montpelier. Not everyone's going to see this amount of precipitation anyway. The 3-hourly QPF looks like this. It's basically center lined on today. And once we get into tonight, things begin to taper off, and then during the morning hours tomorrow, of course. Here's the Weather Prediction Center total 7-day quantitative precipitation forecast accumulation. And you can see that most of eastern areas really affected. 1.5 inches. The blue is 1. The green line here is the half-inch mark, and then quarter inch and so forth. You can see California's getting its share, and that's good news for those folks, especially in those fire zones. But for us, not a big deal. Looking at temperature, this is the 2-meter temperatures centered on Montpelier. You can see kind of the typical bell curve here. Much colder once we get in past, it looks like on the 9th and into the 10th of April. Looking at dew point temperatures, nothing to worry about here. No thunderstorms in the forecast for this period. 850 temperature looks like this, and nothing significant to see there. For weighted temperature, running about 3 to 6 degrees above normal, and then 3 days later, we're looking at about 3 to 6 degrees again. You can see that cold out west, and that's where the storminess is, and then colder offshore, and then a little bit to the north of us. But overall, kind of a little bit of a warm-up. I want to look at 2-meter temperatures first here, and we'll center it back on the northeast United States. So you can see it's relatively warmer, a warm anomaly to the north of us across Canada, a little bit colder here, and then we have this real cold anomalous shot here next to a fairly warm anomalous shot. So these are two extremes. This is going to be in play at some point down the road. And a quick look at snow depths. What you can see here is that snow on the ground is generally north of the U.S.-Canadian border. Not even a whole lot in the west at this point, but a lot of snow still showing up northwestern Canada. And the other thing we want to take a look at here briefly, I'll leave you on this note, is that the sea surface temperatures, that's the Atlantic, right? You can see the Gulf Stream, Labrador Current intermixing. But let's go back to the Pacific here real quickly. And there's really no El Nino. We kind of have a little bit of a La Nina, a little bit of a weak El Nino. It's more Modoki based off to the west a little bit. And we do have some blobs along the Pacific, but the net effect of this is that this could have some play on our hurricane season and exactly how many storms are projected. And latest indications are with a sort of neutral kind of situation set up, no El Nino, we're looking at probably a projection of a little bit more frequency and tropical cyclones in the Atlantic hurricane basin. Something to look forward to here for this summer and over the fall. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.